Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. I'm Rylan. We can never deny the hype that was created after the release of the Pokemon Go game back in 2016. People from all over the world of different age groups went crazy over the augmented reality game and wandered across streets to find their Pokemon. Created by Satoshi Tajiri in 1996, the Pokemon franchise does have a loyal, unwavering fan base. The characters and the vast unending list of Pokemon do have a lot of contributions to making the franchise a huge success. However, the question has often arisen as to how these creatures came into existence in the first place, and how come they had such an enormous level of superpowers. So, on today's episode of Marvelous Videos, we will be diving into stories that reveal into the history of Pokemon, and also the first Pokemon that came into existence. So, without any further delay, let's find out how Pokemon were created, and also who was the very first Pokemon. But before we get into our explanation, we do have just one very small request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is just one small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thanks! Now, let's begin. How Pokemon were created, and who was the first Pokemon. The world of Pokemon, like conventional theories, emerged from a form of singularity. The event occurred before time itself, in a vortex of nothingness and complete chaos. There was an egg holding a life force. When the egg hatched, the first Pokemon, known as Arceus, was born. Thus, Arceus was the first Pokemon, and was showcased as a deity. Arceus created 3 new Pokemon, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. He gave Dialga the power to control time, while Palkia was given complete authority over space. Arceus had also created the antimatter, and he gave Giratina the ability to control it. Arceus later banished Giratina to another realm known as the Distortion World, as a punishment for his belligerent nature. Dialga and Palkia created the universe and the Pokemon world. They then went into their own dimension, leaving the point of access at the ancient Spear Pillar in Sinnoh. Arceus then created 3 more Pokemon, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf, following which they incorporated knowledge, emotion, and willpower into the world. Later, all 3 of them hid inside underwater caves underneath Lake Verity, Lake Valor, and Lake Acuity, which gave them the nicknames Lake Guardians. Following this, 2 more Pokemon were created, namely Groudon and Kyogre. Eventually, land and sea were created and controlled by the 2 of them, while the crystals inside the ozone layer created the ruler of the 2, Rayquaza. Meanwhile, Groudon and Kyogre grew rivals and fought over who could access greater power. Their war made Rayquaza interfere from its resting place in the sky where they slept. Red and blue orbs were then created, keeping them asleep at Mount Pyre. During the conflict between the 2, several Mews were formed, and they became a part of the Pokemon in their world. Next came the Pokemon Regigigas, who moved the continents to form new regions, and created 5 legendary Titan Pokemon. They were known as the Hoenn Trio, Regis, Registeel, and Regirock, and the Galar duo, Regieleki and Regidrago. Regis, Registeel, and Regirock were Ice, Steel, and Rock-type Pokemon, respectively, while Regieleki and Regidrago were Electric and Dragonborn Pokemon. When Mount Coronet and Stark Mountain began to move, violent tectonic activity began taking place on Earth. As the tectonic plates started to shift, huge pools of pure magma began erupting on the surface. The mineral and lava combined to form the new Pokemon, Heatran. Arceus then created the Adamant, Lustrous, and Griseous orbs and fell into a deep slumber. This marked the end of the formation of the legendary and mythical Pokemon. The time period marked the beginning of ancient human civilization, and following this, several normal Pokemon were formed. Mew, which used to exist in plenty, began shrinking in numbers as they evolved into a species. At some point, a meteor arrived, releasing a gigantic Pokemon known as Eternatus. Then, there was a super strong Pokemon known as Genesect, capable of hunting and going into stealth. Weathering and erosion led to different minerals and crystals fusing under fluctuating temperatures and pressures, thereby giving birth to the Pokemon Carbrink. During this period, many fossil Pokemon also came into existence. These Pokemon could live in all 3 ecosystems: air, water, and land. Going by the history of Pokemon, all of their existence emerged from one single Pokemon, and that was Arceus. Its story was showcased as a creator deity, much like the gods in the universe, who are believed to be the sole creator of life and existence. The egg from which Arceus emerged can also be considered a world egg. The word Arceus has its derivation from several different languages, which ultimately concludes by describing the Pokemon as a god, or the source of the beginning of everything. Created by writer Toshinobu Matsumiya and artist Suguru Nakatsui, Arceus made his debut in the anime anime Arceus and the Jewel of Life, which premiered in Japan on July 18, 2009. The design of Arceus was quite similar to a horse and resembled the legendary hooved chimerical creature that appears in Chinese mythology, Qilin. Its body color was white and gray, vertically striped in the underside of its belly, as well as its mane, tail, and face. Its pointed feet are fitted with golden hooves. Arceus had green eyes, red pupils, and a green circular pattern underneath its eyes. Arceus's face was gray in color and had a streak of gold coloration on its forehead. It had a long neck with two pairs of excursions at the sides and a flap-like feature on its underside. A golden cross-like wheel was attached to its body, about its round abdomen, which changed color with its eyes. There were 4 jewels attached to this wheel. It had a thick tail, which was quite similar to its mane, both in appearance and color. The design of Arceus was similar to that of an alpaca or a llama, which again were religious depictions of lambs, and the Incan deity Urcuchule. Its pose in the official pictures resembled the fingers that play off of the hand of God, a common motif in Jewish and Christian art.
What's that?
What are the abilities of Arceus? Arceus, being a deity Pokemon, had enormous powers and capabilities. Being the creator of all Pokemon, it is believed to be the strongest of all of them. In the mythology story of the Pokemon world, Arceus is said to have created the entire universe, which is significant enough to express its might. It made the legendary Titans, Dialga, Palkia, Giartina, and also the Lake Guardians, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. During the war between the Dragon Trio, Arceus managed to subdue all 3 of them alone. Arceus possessed the power of telepathy and the unique ability to be a multi-type Pokemon. When Dialga and Palkia went into an uncontrollable rage, Arceus had the power to calm them down. In the anime, the Red Chain, which had the power to control legendary Pokemon, was infused with the powers of Arceus. With the use of Z crystals and legendary plates, Arceus could change its type whenever needed. In the Pokemon Legends game, Arceus showcased the ability to open time-space rifts, which was used to summon humans and other beings from various different points in time. In the game, Arceus converted the player's smartphone into an Arc phone and provided instructions via messages. Its physical form was not all of him, but a mere extension. Arceus's balanced stats surpassed that of powerful Pokemon like Mew, Celebi, Jirachi, Manaphy, and even Victini. It could also learn Dragon Meteor if provided the Draco Plate. Along with all of these, Arceus also possessed the power of telekinesis and could learn nearly any move of his opponent. Why is there so much confusion about the first Pokemon? There has been a lot of confusion regarding the first Pokemon. The stories portray Arceus as the first Pokemon, but in the broader outlook, the franchise established different Pokemon in different contexts as the first. The Kanto region Pokedex, the first regional Pokedex introduced in the first generation, showcased Bulbasaur as their first Pokemon. This Pokedex provided a numeric arrangement of the Pokemon native to the Kanto region specifically. Similarly, the Unova regional Pokedex assigned Victini as the first Pokemon native to the Unova region. With all that said about the Pokemon universe, we now move into the real world of the Pokemon franchise. As declared by the creator of the first generation of Pokemon, Ken Sugimori, Rhydon was the first Pokemon designed to be released by the franchise. Hence, these are the different versions of the first Pokemon, but that's not it. Mew, introduced in the May 1996 issue of CoroCoro, is said to possess the DNA of all the Pokemon, for which it is often described as the ancient Pokemon. Marvelous verdict. So finally, we have come to the end of our video, and we hope you found it informative. It's good to have a proper story attached to the creation of these creatures. The story of Ash and Pikachu was a big hit, and it eventually led to adventures justifying the powers and purpose of Pokemon. Arceus takes up the role of the creator deity, like conventional mythological stories and folklore, and it serves well to the plot of the Pokemon universe. Please, feel free to write your views on the same, also citing your favorite legendary Pokemon in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, have a good one and be safe.